Hi everyone, welcome back to Shell Crochet. It's the end of June and you know what that means? 6 months of yarn! Hi everyone, welcome back. It's Shell. How are you today? I hope you're all doing well. Welcome to all my returning friends and anybody who's new. And this is Shell Crochet and we're going to talk about what happened in the month of June 2021. So you saw all those yarn ball bands and we will get into that more in my next video in a couple of weeks, and I will look forward to talking about the yarn that I've gone through and maybe do a little montage of what we've made so far this year and check in with you about my goals. So that'll all be coming up in a couple of weeks time. But for today, let's talk about what's happened in the last 2 weeks. And let's start with the one big mal/cal I'm doing based on the calendar Setta from Setta's Place is using for her calendar cal 2021. I am making my Mighty Mile a Minute strips with Jayda's 2021 calendar blanket. So let's see. First of all, let's pop up a picture of what the June calendar looked like, and here it is. It's always like a little bit of a surprise for me coming back to this blanket for this video because I usually do it pretty early in the month and I haven't seen it in a while. So I'm gonna try to just get the strip in the frame for you. So that's how I did in terms of my June calendar match for this strip. And this strip was called, oh, I'm gonna have to put it at the bottom because I forget, something about shells, appropriately so. Let me just pull it a little bit. You can sort of see that I have a 1 weight yarn running through there as I do in a few of my strips. And now to pop up a picture of the full 6 months so far with all the matching calendar pictures below. And I think it's actually better than I thought. So here she is. We'll unwind her. January's over here, June's over here. And I think it's coming along. There's no need to unwind it fully because it's not all gonna fit in the frame anyway. Hold her this way a little bit. And yeah, so definitely gonna be colorful when it's done. And as tomorrow will be July 1st, I think Friday I'm gonna be getting my new strip, and I already have, I think I have July, August, and September already sort of set aside in terms of what colors I'm going to use. So enjoying this, and I'll pop up a picture here of the baby Mile a Minute blanket I made using the January strip, which I do remember is called the split shell, and I did show that in the last video if you want to hear a little bit more about it and the yarn. And I'm also working on one that happens to be a full-size one, and I'm not anywhere near to completing it, but I will show you some of those strips. So for the full-length strips, I am still sticking to just the January stitch, which is the split shell stitch, or for those who want to think of it like a corner of a granny. And here are some of them. This is going to blow it a bit on camera, but this is like a very nice salmon color, a rich salmon color. That's a Bernat Super Value. This is a little bit of spring green I had in Red Heart Super Saver. And then I want to show you how many of them are coming from scraps. This came from Tangled yarn, so a scrap, of course. This is a ball, oop, an end. This is a ball of the Craft Smart in a green that I don't think that they have anymore. And this is Tent Sale worsted yarn in like a stone color. This is a red that came from Tangled yarn, so scraps. This is a purple, which is a Tent Sale. This is one of the only times I've gotten a Tent Sale soft worsted yarn that is actually worsted weight yarn in Tent Sale soft worsted. So most of the time, because they're right here, the little Tent Sale, the band stayed inside the shelf. These come like this with the ball band on. But they're very, very similar to Karen Simply Soft or Loops and Thread Shiny, or what I think they actually are Bernat Satin, right? But they're in the tent style family. So I've gotten these over the years from Spin Right and from Debbie. But so yeah, for whatever reason, when I did get this lilac one years ago, or this lavendery color one, it's thicker. It's much thicker. It's much more like an Impeccable or something like that. But for the most part, those are interchangeable with those thinner 4s. What else do I have in here? Orange, which came from a Bernat Premium, and then a kind of a periwinkle blue, which was also a tent style worsted. So I've pulled apart, oh, and all the black is from the Tangled yarn, and the black has been great so far. So I still have a lot more of black to unwind at some point, but yeah, that black yarn, it's something like Bernat Super Value or Karen 1 Pound. It's nice and plump, and it, for the most part, it's been in very good shape. So I pulled a whole bunch of my scrap balls apart into groups, and because I decided to use black on this one, I'm using kind of the brighter colors and the richer colors, and anything that I thought black wouldn't really complement, like navy blue, like burgundy, like the real dark Christmas green, pine green, those are separated in another one, because I think I'll do a different one with gray instead of black. So that'll be my little ode to MMAM knitting in 2021, and it gives me a couple of scrap gans that'll be done by the end of the year. And it also gives me something that I can intermittently work on in the summertime, because it's not super hot until you start putting it together. So even if I got all the strips done between now and the end of the summer, then I would have 2 blankets I'm ready to put together whenever. I purposely decided to not join as you go for this one, and I may join as you go for the gray one. We'll see how it goes. I was not enjoying the join as you go on the Mighty Mile a Minute, so I just want to give myself a break. I also didn't love, I single crocheted together that baby blanket, and I don't love how that looked. So this one, this black one, I'm just going to whip stitch them together and see how I feel about that, because it'll be quite lengthy strips to whip stitch So anyway, maybe I'm crazy. We'll find out at the end, right? So I've got about 9 of these now fully completed, and I have set aside probably another about 6, 8, anywhere in there, colors that I want in this blanket. I've got another purple that came from Tangled yarn, I got a teal, I've got a couple of grays, a darker gray and a lighter gray, and then yeah, I don't know what else is over there, but so then I have to decide how I'm going to do it. And I was kind of thinking of a rainbow idea, but I don't want all those like neutral colors at the end either. So if there's enough, I might intersperse the neutrals in between. So we'll see. But this is a long-term whip, but like hopefully by the end of the summer, early fall, it'll be getting all done. Okay, so let's talk about the elephant in the room. Please notice the whispering. Do you think if I whisper, she won't notice? So my bestie's birthday is in the middle of July, and she's turning 50, and so I made her a sweater. And I don't know if I'm going to show this part in this video now. I'm recording this on June 30th, or if I'm going to wait and show you at a later date. So I'm still going to record it though, because in all likelihood I won't have it by the time you'll see it, and if I don't show it to you, I won't be able to. So one moment please while we adjust the set. There she is. The somewhat secret sweater. So my girlfriend picked out this yarn. I had wanted to try making it for her in some Premier anti-pilling, but she wanted blues. So we went with the red Heart Ombre in True Blue that I had 3 skeins of, and I did the measurements and all that. I was able to do that outside a few weeks back, and we talked about the coloring and decided that we would keep the darker colors in the center. So it worked out fairly well. A lot of color controlling to make it work. But yeah, I think it worked out pretty well. And so we'll see how it fits and how well received it is. Very minimal border, because I did not want to really interrupt the striping. So I stuck with the darker color because it's so present here and in the back mid and at the bottom of the cuffs, but a very, very minimal border for me. Normally I would do a little bit more and maybe do some post stitches to match the sleeves, but when you're doing this kind of a yarn, it's probably best to not, because you don't want to interrupt your color too much. So this is my cardigan that I go to in terms of making. So I've made one for my dad, pop up a picture here. I've made one for myself, pop up a picture here. And I have now made one for my bestie. And my mom is getting one, and she knows that already, and she's picked out her yarn. And so I had based this on the Tammy sweater from the Secret Yarnery. And the construction is the same. So I do use foundation, way over here, foundation double crochets to start it. I go all the way around, and then I have a little clip to insert here to talk about my method for doing the neck and coming down the front. One moment, please.
Hey everyone. Seeing as I won't be able to show you this as it's a gift, I thought I'd show you a little bit about my process for the construction. So I'm making a panel style sweater in ombre yarn, as you can see, and I have completed one full side of the panel that goes up and down, and then I've split for the back, which I like to leave a little bit of a section for the neck. And now I'm in the process of picking up the stitches in foundation doubles to go down the front so that I can continue with the second panel. And I've just marked off my stitches to make sure that my counts are the same. So the back section has a section, the section that comes over the shoulders for me is a section, and then this represents where the front will start. And yeah, and then that way we should all be even, and it doesn't hang weird. It helps it hang nicely at the back and at the front, because, you know, we do have curves, and it's good to allow for the shoulder area, etc. And that's how she's looking. And there's some yarn. 6.5 milli Red Heart Super Saver Ombre. But a sneak peek for now. Bye-bye.
Okay, and we're back. So you saw that. And yeah, I guess a couple of them, whether it was this top I made my girlfriend or my actual top I was wearing in my last video, they don't always hang so nicely. Like, they'll kind of come in the front. So I started to do this part where I work a little section for the neck. I choose a number of stitches that would represent the shoulder, and then I allow for that. And so I can that way keep the back part of the sweater flat. It doesn't have to have the V the same as the front does. And that's particularly if you're closing it. Allowing for that little shoulder area, I find, makes it better down here. So a little bit of trial and error. That salmon-y colored top my girlfriend was wearing that I just popped up, I had made that before I even had Krista's video to go from. So, you know, it's all trial and error. I was getting quite a bit of questions from my last video on my panel top that I was wearing, and I am going to make that for my mom in the same yarn, actually. So you might see that by the end of July, because she's like a small, so it's a quick make for me. Yeah, so I'll talk a little bit more about it again then, but hopefully that helps, and that little clip helped in terms of that part. And yes, in the beginning I did 2 panels and sewed them together, but then it dawned on me, like, if I can do foundation crochet out of the last crochet I make, last double crochet I'm making, why wouldn't I just continue down the front? And it seems to work fine. So I prefer that way, because it's pretty much all one piece except for the sleeves. And then I just go back in here and do whatever I'm going to do for the collar. I didn't do an overly thick collar on this one, because I wanted to maintain the colors that we talked about being the darker colors in here. And that is 3 skeins. They're larger skeins of the Red Heart Ombre yarn, but almost all of the dark is gone. So pretty much what I have left is the very, very light blue and a bit of the silvery denim in there. Because of how I color control the sweaters. So, and probably maybe enough for a baby blanket that I could fudge with some white or something. So I'll have to see. I just wanted to make sure I didn't touch that yarn until she has it, and I know that we're all good and I don't need to add anything to it. So we will see how it goes over. Hopefully she likes it after all the conversations we had about yarn. And yeah, so happy birthday to my bestie. She's actually getting another gift, so here's hoping that she really doesn't watch this. And I will pop up a little video for you here.
Hey everyone. So here's the pocket shawl I made. And it's a bit blowing out because of the window I'm behind. Or it's behind, the window's behind me. Okay, so there's the pocket. And there's some of the stitching. And I'll talk a little bit more about this in the video, but I just thought I'd put this in so you could see it lying straight across my full-size couch. And yeah, more to come.
Also, I would be very curious to see once I edit this what the colors look like, because in the little clip I took, it was blowing out like crazy from the window being behind it on my couch. And then I had a couple of different stills I took. One was basically the yarn and the hook and the ball band, and one was the project like at night. And the color, it looks so different, like completely different colors. It's called Emerald, okay? And for me, it's showing fairly true to color. It's a little richer. You're getting a bit of a sheen from the light bouncing off what is the metallic, which you probably can't see as well as I can. But it's very green looking, but the streamer running through this yarn is actually a light blue color. So I think that's what makes it look more tealy to the eye. But it's called Emerald, and it's Bernat satin. And this was yarn gifted to me from Debbie last year when I had gone there. So if you want to see a big box of yarn from a year ago, I'll put that video in the description box below. And here's a pattern I came up with. Ever since I made my first pocket shawl, I was determined to never make pockets again. And I'm like, why can't I just make it extra long and fold it up? And I didn't think there was anything that existed like that. And sure enough, Donna Wolf Nastasia has a pattern for it that I found after I made this. But here it is. There's a pocket. And so my center portion is basically double crochet cross stitches. And I just left a certain amount empty that I thought would be a good measurement for the pocket, and made those all just double crochets. And then all the way through the cross stitches to the other side, and then the same number of double crochets open at the bottom to be able to fold up the other pocket. And then what led me to finding Donna Wolf's video was that I didn't know how wide to make it, because obviously if you're going to just make your pocket section first, you really only have like a scarf length. So then I got the measurements off that, and I continued with a little pattern here I did on the sides that has both double crochets and cross stitches and some half doubles in there too. And I think it'll work out really well. It is super hot in here today, so there's no way I'm even going to attempt to model it for you. But I hope she'll love it. She saw this yarn right after I got it last year, and she's like, I want that yarn. And I wasn't too crazy about making her something in that yarn, because Bernat satin sparkle is just okay yarn to me. It's kind of fuzzy. The streamer can be a bit finicky, although I didn't get near the amount of breakage I've had in other metallic yarns, so that's good. But I just wasn't sure. So I figured if it's a pocket shawl, she'll be wearing it when it's cold, and she'll put it over something, like, so it doesn't have to necessarily rub up on her skin all the time. And so yeah, that was something like six 80-gram skeins of that yarn. And I do have a picture. I think it might have all the ball bands. And yeah, I think I have only 4 of those left, so maybe enough for like a hat or two. Anyway, so hopefully she likes that, and at least that one she didn't know about. So again, depending upon when I show this part of the video, she may not find out until after her birthday. Here's hoping, right? And last time I was talking to you about a shawl I had made. I'll pop up a picture here where I was pulling apart 2 mandala cakes that are the same name, and they were the same colorway, which is called Wizard. Does that look familiar? Because I did the same thing last time I did the video. So it is basically all the colors of the rainbow, but only one of the cake had this like lighter blue, lighter green section in it. And so that was in the other shawl. And so this one I kind of ombre it myself. So it has the purples to the reds to the oranges to the yellow and back down, and only one of them, I only had enough navy for the one part, I guess, or only one of the cakes had the navy in it, because I don't think I used navy in the other one. But yeah, this is the same pattern I did last time, the Fields de Provence shawl, and I did the bottom correctly this time, so I didn't have to do any fixers. This is such a drapey shawl, and I love how it is, like, this is probably not the number of pattern repeats she says to do, because I think hers is way wider than this. But for triangle scarves, and I'm going to take one from the team here, everyone, and put this on even though it's hot. It's nice and wide at the edges, so putting it around your neck is going to be easier than it is with most triangle shawls. So yeah, and drapey, so nice and drapey. And I love the stitch. So my mom asked for a pocket shawl, and I may actually try to do this stitch as the main part of her pocket shawl. So we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, plans. There's always plans, right? So another one that's done. Who makes a pumpkin in June? Shell does. Another thing my bestie's always asking me for are these stuffed pumpkins, so I thought that'd be a nice little thing to go in her gift package. The pattern I follow, this part of the pattern I follow Jayda Stitches. The seaming up of the bottom and the top I follow Bella Coco, and this thing I just make it up now because I've seen so many of them made. I don't even really, it's just like a little strip, right? And then you make it kind of wonky on purpose at the top so that it looks more like a, and I don't stuff this because then you can like, because these are always kind of wonky looking, right? So you want it to be able to be moved around. Yeah. So that's my little pumpkin. And I got on a bit of a blanket yarn scrap kick and made a few of these. So more duster mitt guys. And this one, I think I did it, cuff up and decreased for the top. And I decided, why am I doing it the hard way? How about you just use like a basic bag bottom here, get a nice kind of square look to it. I just do one increase on each side when I get close to the thumb. I leave a couple of empty stitches here to create the hole by chaining. I think I chain 3 and skip 2, give it a little extra room to groove, and then finish it down to the cuff. I take those 2 stitches out at the bottom so that it can be a little closed around the wrist, and then yeah, so but these work great for dusting, and I mean it's just nice to have your whole hand covered and the thumb in there just for fun because I've seen the kind that are just the mitt style, but this one just stays on better and it's a great way to use up scraps. So I got a couple of those made. And then I decided the main reason I don't make Swiffer pads is because they feel like they take a long time for what they are, and I'm like, I like the way that works better anyway. What if I made it out of the blanket yarn? And I have a little bit of the pet yarn left, so that is like thinner than blanket yarn, so perfect for Swiffer pads. So I made a couple of these as well. And for these, I just worked it the long way, made sure I had enough to fold it up on each end, so that, you know, you have very few raw stitches, and did the half double back in the back loop to get that ridge. And yeah, so got a few of those made. Using up some scraps. This was the rest. There's 2 of these. I think I only have one of them in here. The other one's a little bit smaller. Just these little tiny gift bags. So basic bag bottom, where you start in a chain and then you do a little bit of increasing, and then I go up in the spiral until I want it to not be a spiral. And this one I did some V stitches for the pretty area, and then back to half doubles at the top with a eyelet row for the drawstring, and then just a little gift bag. And that was using up the rest of the cotton cake from the bag I made last time. And oh, I do have the other little guy in here. This guy has a little more V stitches in him. And then I made a little set of a cloth in a little bit of next to white. It's like a creamy white color, not quite Aran, but close. So this is some post stitches with some half doubles, and then a little tiny soap sack, and then a little scrubby. And as you can see, I was also using up a tiny little bit of this other cotton I had, just so it would look like a little bit of a set. And I also have just a little one in this aqua color, just a cloth and a scrubby. So this cloth is back to that pattern I've been gravitating to for washcloths, which is a chain with half double crochet to double crochet to 2 rows of cross stitch. And then this one I did half double, double cross stitch, half double, double cross stitch, and at the top just reversed it so it goes double, half double, and then a single crochet round all the way around it with a little hanger. And somebody can have that if they want it. And to the Tales of Woe. So I had started the Jayda Stitches Summer Love poncho. I was inspired by Jennifer at Cinnamon Stitches to try to make one that's closed in the front, and I was using shawl and a ball, and I hated it, so I took it all out. I almost made a top, so we got that far, but then I stopped and I was like, no, I don't like this. I don't like this. I'm not having any fun. So that is all wound up into balls and sitting in timeout right now, which is okay. I don't frog stuff all that often, and it's gonna happen. And I think it is important sometimes to get like a quarter of a way through a project and say, nope, not what I want to do with this yarn. Let's figure out something else. Yeah, so we are halfway through the year. How did that happen? and I will be going through my goals and giving you an update. I'll try to make it kind of short and sweet because I did go through it after the first quarter. I will also go through my Make 9 and see if I'm gonna make any changes. I don't think I've really made any progress on my Make 9 in the last quarter, but I was ahead of the game, so that's okay. And I have some homework to do because a while back, Carrie Penny had tagged me in the bucket list patterns tag that was going around, and I don't have really a bucket list of patterns. And for me, a lot of it's very tutorial based, so I picked those for my Make 9 last year, and I picked some for this year. That's kind of how I like to approach it, but I'm not a pattern person, so I don't have like a whole bunch of things on my to-do list that I have to like flip through and go through and want to do. So I'm trying to think of how to create that bucket list, because it's a good idea to have it, but it's a bit different when you're not a pattern collector. I don't work off patterns very much. I only really work off patterns if it's by sort of like I have to. So yeah, it's mostly tutorials, and yeah, so we'll see how that goes. I would like to make a granny square or two and send them off to Crystal at Chronically Crocheting, who's collecting granny squares, and I think that's an awesome idea, and I would like to join in that fun. And we'll see what else I can get up to in the next couple of weeks. I have some exciting plans at the end of this week. You may or may not have already heard, but I am going to go to Oshawa, Ontario to meet the fabulous Crystal at Rocola's Crochet Corner. Finally, we will meet in person. We talk on Zoom quite regularly, and of course we see each other in our videos back and forth here on YouTube, but it will be very nice to meet in person, and she is kindly handing me down some yarn. And I'm a very eager recipient, but I'm also very eager to go and see her in person. Finally, that we are allowed to do so. So that should be a lot of fun. It's odd to sign off from this video because I don't know what I showed you and what I didn't, because I'm very, very concerned about whether my bestie will, I don't want to ruin any birthday surprises. So we'll see how that part of the video goes. But hopefully there was enough in here for you guys to see a little bit of what I've been up to in June. Or the second half of June. And I want to wish everybody a happy Canada Day in Canada for July 1st, and happy Independence Day in the United States for July the 4th. And I will see you all really soon. Have a great day and happy crochet. Bye everyone.